Let's start with a wild thought experiment. Imagine a future where the entire global economy, every stock, every payment, every single investment is managed by one super intelligent AI. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the exact blockchain blueprint it would use to build that new financial world. I mean, really think about that for a second. What if a single AI was in charge of, well, everything? We're talking your money, corporate payroll, massive investment funds, the banks, even huge indexes like the S&P 500. It's a massive idea, so let's actually break down how something like that could work. You see, in this future, all those financial assets would be completely unified, all under the control of that one intelligence. The old, clunky, fragmented systems we have today, the separate banks, the stock exchanges, the painfully slow international payment networks, they'd all become relics. They'd be replaced by one seamless, totally automated global ledger. Now, this isn't just a sci-fi fantasy. We're going to get really specific here. We're going to map out the actual tech stack, the specific tools an AI would absolutely need to build this system. It's kind of like we're getting a sneak peek at the AI's own architectural blueprint for the world's economy. So how would an AI even begin to tackle something this huge? It couldn't just plug into our current infrastructure, that's for sure. No, first it would have to solve the massive, fundamental problems that plague today's financial world. It would have to engineer a solution from the ground up, and that means starting with the 5 biggest hurdles imaginable. And these aren't just, suggestions. These are 5 non-negotiable, unbreakable rules for the system. First, it needs extreme scalability to handle billions of transactions every single day. Second, it has to have maximum ironclad security because there's absolutely zero room for error. Third, it needs total liquidity and stability, no wild market volatility allowed. Fourth, seamless interoperability to connect every single financial island out there. And finally, it has to run on perfect real-time data, no exceptions. Okay, so with those unbreakable rules in mind, the AI would start to assemble its toolkit. And it wouldn't be picking technologies at random, not at all. It would very carefully select a handful of specialized blockchains, each one chosen for a very specific job in building this new global financial machine. So here's how the AI would solve each problem. For the sheer volume of transactions, it would need the incredible speed of something like Hedera, or the powerful smart contracts you get from Ethereum Layer 2s and Avalanche. Then, to connect all the world's siloed financial systems, it would use interoperability networks. We're talking Polydot, Cosmos, or Quant. For the absolute lifeblood of finance, liquidity and stability, it would rely on institutional-grade stablecoins and the instant settlement of XRP. And to make sure its decisions are based on what's actually happening in the real world, it needs data from oracles like Chainlink, which would then feed protocols like Ocean and SingularityNet to totally automate its choices. All right, it's one thing to talk about the tech toolkit, but what would this AI-run economy actually feel like in the real world? Let's take a look at how it would handle the kind of day-to-day financial stuff that we all depend on. Okay, here's a perfect example. Asset tokenization. That's just a fancy way of saying you're turning a real-world thing into a digital token. So imagine a skyscraper is represented as a token on a network like Avalanche. In that same instant, Chainlink provides the live up-to-the-second market price for that building. The AI sees this data and immediately rebalances a massive global investment fund based on that new information. And this all happens in a literal fraction of a second. And it just keeps going. Daily payments between banks all over the world, they'd happen instantly using Hedera or XRP. Dividends from investments paid out automatically to millions of investors in stablecoins. And maybe the best part, because every single transaction is recorded on a public ledger, the entire system would be completely transparent. Anyone could audit it. So we've seen the what and the how, but now let's dig into the why. I mean, why these specific technologies when there are thousands of others out there? To get that, we have to try and think like the AI itself and look at the core principles that are guiding every single one of its choices. If we could actually ask the AI, it would probably tell us that its choices have nothing to do with hype or popularity. Its decisions are pure, cold logic. And that logic is boiled down into 3 fundamental principles for running a perfect global system. First up, principle number 1, absolute security and reliability. The system has to handle a mind-boggling volume of transactions without a single failure, ever. That's exactly why it would choose networks like Hedera for its bank-grade security and Ethereum Layer 2s for their battle-tested smart contracts. Failure is just not in the vocabulary here. Principle number 2 is all about liquidity and speed. Money has to move instantly, and it has to do it without the risk of those crazy price swings. This is why institutional stablecoins, which are pegged to real-world currency, and a liquidity engine like XRP are so crucial. They guarantee that payments are not only immediate, but that they settle at a stable, predictable value. And the third and final principle, interoperability and data. The system can't have any isolated parts. It has to connect every financial system in the world into one cohesive whole. That's the job of the Internet of Blockchain protocols like Polkadot, Cosmos, and Quant. And all of its decisions have to be based on perfect, real-world data, which is why Chainlink is the indispensable oracle constantly feeding it trusted information. So when you put all of that logic together, what do you really get? Well, we can distill this entire, incredibly complex system down to its most essential components, the core infrastructure. Think of them as the new financial rails for this AI-managed economy. In a mission-critical scenario like managing the entire planet's money, an AI would choose ruthless efficiency above all else. It's not going to be sentimental. This means hundreds, maybe thousands of other cryptocurrencies and blockchains would just be redundant. Only a select, proven few would make the cut to form the backbone. And here they are. These are the fundamental rails. You've got Hedera, Ethereum L2s, and Avalanche for handling the transactions. You've got stablecoins and XRP for liquidity. You've got Polkadot, Cosmos, and Quant for connectivity. And you have Chainlink for the data. This right here, this is the core engine that would power the entire global economy. So after seeing the blueprint and understanding the cold, hard logic the AI would use, it really all comes down to one final question. Looking at this incredibly efficient, secure, and totally interconnected system, would you trust it?